Hey everybody, how are you doing? Happy New Year. Me, Leslie, the little Plazic, and Zazoo, and my Christmas gnome. Christmas gnome. How do you like this? Santa brought these. Oh, I'm gonna show you what happened to my other ones. Hold on. I'm coming back. So I was coming out of the store before Christmas, and I had my hat on. I had all these bags and stuff, and this is what happened to my. Is this Gen X or what? Look at me. Um, I taped them back up because I didn't want to. I ordered these and I wanted to wait till Christmas to open them up. So, and you know, I needed to have a pair to drive in case I, had to go somewhere. So I just fit them back together. Oh, I was coming out of the store and one-handed, never do this. I've had these for years, and I wore them in all these like half marathons that I ran. They they're like a 250 pair of glasses that I got at like the job lots and more or something. So I went in my bag, got my glasses, and I went to put them on one-handed while I had my hat on, and they just went. It was cold. They just went snap. Oh no! So fortunately, I was able to drive home. It was getting dark, so I didn't need them. Zazoo Plazz report. January 4th, first Zazoo Plazz report of 2026. Ah! So that's my little story. So when I got home, I fitted them back together and I taped them, some of this little tape here. And I actually did wear them a couple of times like this. Now I just keep them as a backup in case something happens to these brand new ones. These are great. They're polarized. They've got, SPF 1,000 or whatever. They're really nice. Look at that. Spring mounted. Look at these things. They're fancy. And they're my favorite color too, Zazoo color. I think, that's my color. Plus it goes with my sweater. So I'll just put these over here. And for the moment. Okay. Very cool. Kind of looks like the guy from ZZ Top. Sharp dressed gnome. Sharp dressed gnome. Anyway, I still got my tree up because I'm one of those people who like I feel like Christmas isn't over until after January 6th. I keep my tree up till January 6th because that's the Epiphany. And even though the readings for today, it's only the 4th, but they celebrate the Epiphany because it's, pretty close. That's my mother's birthday, January 6th. So she was born on the Epiphany, which I think is a pretty lucky day. If you would ask her when she was alive, she would have said, "Oh, it's after Christmas, it's winter, it's cold. Nobody wants to celebrate my birthday. Wish it was in the summer." Any number of those things she would say. But, so I would get her presents before Christmas because you'd go to the store and things would be picked over. On the other hand, sometimes they'd put out some fresh stuff, between Christmas and her birthday. So sometimes I would get lucky, and I would get some brand new stuff, which she loved. She never liked to get, she never liked stuff that was picked over. She always had to get the fresh things behind. And maybe that's because she's an early January birthday. She she liked to have things fresh, new. She was a 1 in the Enneagram. So she was, a Capricorn, fresh out of the gate, you know. She was the person who would get things started. Not me. I was more a keep things going kind of person, stuck in my ways. Big sign Scorpio. Uh, So we sometimes we had differences of we had energetic differences. My mom and I sometimes. She was um, she had this way of like just knowing things, and she was very good at remembering details, information, that kind of thing. um, Academically, very much to the book. This is the way we do it, that way. I was more like, let's throw out the damn book. Let's make up something new. That's me. Okay. So, we have some, of course, Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to Zazoo Plazz land. You just never know what's going to happen here. Totally unscripted. I have my notes here, but once I write it all down, it's kind of in my head. It's just an energetic thing that I do here. If you're new, if you resolved to tune into the Zazoo Plazz report every week, and I do a video once a week, around Sunday, Monday, I post it. Good for you. That's a good habit to develop. Hit the all the stuff down there. Oh, and be sure to every week check out my notes in the description, because that's where I put the song of the week, all the links, great videos. Unfortunately, MTV isn't around anymore, so it's kind of nice to have somebody like me who grew up with it and remembers how great it was when MTV showed videos instead of reality shows and all that stuff. It's kind of annoying, but I'm gonna make the best of it. I don't want to hold the damn thing. So every week, if you didn't know, check out the description. I put all kinds of links and fun stuff to the song of the week, so you don't have to go around looking for it. And I usually put a couple. Maybe I'll put like the video, the original video, and I'll put like the live performance from past few years, if I can find a recent one, which is what I'm doing today. So yeah, so trailer. Oh, yeah. So we talked about that. Sad news, and I heard from my ex this week. He said that our little doggy, Phoebe, Vivi in the book, the one who posed for the cover, that's her. She was 16 and she passed away on around Christmas, that couple days within a day of Christmas. And so it's been sad, all sent away for her ashes. And I heard that my oldest son put a rose and some milk biscuits in with her. And my ex, he added a tennis ball. And the boys paid their respects to her. And it's so sad. I'm kind of glad that I didn't see her right at the end, because it would have just broken my heart, because she was my girl. She was the only other female in the house with me and all those guys. While she would do things to kind of, mess with me. We had a pretty good relationship, you know. Um, I could read her really well, and she could read me, and she could really yank my chain. She, wow, she could literally yank the chain. That She had a lot of power in her legs and her chest, because she was a lab, but she also had pug and some, half Jack Russell. She was a terrier. She was, wow, strong, sporty dog. And she could run, throw that tennis ball, and she'd take off, bat out of hell. She could do zoomies like nobody. It took her a bit. She had so much energy, even toward the end. She had kind of arthritis, and she developed some of those, um, I guess you call them big bumps on, on they said, the vet said they were normal for her breed. But if you look carefully at the picture of me on the back cover, I'm I'm sort of I'm I'm holding her like this, and I got my hand around one of the bumps, and you can't see it. She was already getting them, as of like 2019, 2020. She was getting small ones, and then they got bigger. But didn't stop her. She was always in good spirits, and always ready to go and have adventures. And so, I'm paying homage to her in my Zazoo report this week, because we're gonna miss that girl. I'm gonna miss her. But I feel like she's kind of with me, and she's immortalized on the cover of my book. So buy the book and read stories. There will be more stories about Phoebe. Yeah, because she was a good she was a good one. She was a good girl, good dog. She was a dog who just happened to be female. she was she was my friend, my buddy. So, and she was really good with the kids too. She was always good with the kids. Both the boys loved her, and I'm sure they're heartbroken that she's gone, because it's part of their childhood. So yeah, so I talked about that. That's a sad thing, but on the bright side, she did have a very long, full life. You know, she she did it. She traveled. She chased after many a tennis ball and stick. She she ate her share of our food off the table, stolen right from under our noses, right when we were just sitting there. She was quick. It took me a while to get out of the habit of, not like to realize that I could leave food on the table. Dog wasn't going to come and eat it. So, yeah. Anyway, but I did make my meat pie this week, and I have a story about that before I get too bogged down here in the other stuff that I do every week. I went out, what was it, the day before New Year's Eve, because I said, well, I want to kind of sleep in a little bit. And so I ended up going, stores were closing. So I went over to the store down the street here. Oh, great. My neighbor's banging up there. I don't know what she's doing. What's she doing? Yeah. So I went to the store, and they've got like one sort of nearly expiring package of ground pork. Now, my mom used to, a couple days before, and I didn't know, she never told me why, but she'd say, oh, you got to have the butcher cut, grind up the meat. It's because the minute they grind it, it starts to kind of, go bad. That's the way pork is. Probably hamburger too. It loses that color that it had. So she would always get, make a big deal of going to the butcher and getting our meat. Well, it's the most important part of the pie, the tortillas, which is the French Canadian meat pies that I make. My mother made them. My grandmother made them every year around New Year's. We'd have them on New Year's. Some French people have them on like Christmas or Christmas Eve, but we had them on New Year's. So, and they have to be served with turnip and some cranberry sauce and maybe a little coleslaw or some kind of a chopped salad. And ketchup. That's the ketchup. My kids used to put like a whole bottle of ketchup on there. Because it's a savory pie. It needs relish. It needs some kind of sweetness to balance the savory quality. So anyway, so I went, and the store's closing. I said, oh, I'll just get this, because it's something. And then I said, no, I'm going to go to the other store, because it wasn't quite 10 o'clock yet. And they had the really nice pink pork, nice fresh. I said, oh man, why didn't I buy it from the other place? I could have just bought 2 packages here, because in their genius stores, they'll do like 1.3 pounds, right? And the pie has to be 1.5 pounds. So I would, to make 2 pies, I'd get, 3 packages and then do 1.5 for each pie, you know? And then we would have enough and we'd have another pie, seconds and leftovers. Just for me, I said, okay, I'll just get the one. So it made a nice pie, just the one package. But I'm like, it hurt me having to throw that pork out because it was nasty the next day. It expired on New Year's Eve. And why did I? But this is the kind of thing I do. I make life difficult for myself sometimes. But anyway, so there's that. So I had my meat pie, and I ended up making it. It used to take me so much longer. Now it's so quick. I got a new Dutch oven, and it's huge. Now, the old one I used to have was too small, and somehow in my kitchen, everything took longer. Here, quick. I let it simmer and sort of, it smelled great while I was doing my work, and then, then I popped it in the pie shell. I never make pie crust. I just get the ready-made kind. And put it in the oven. It was so good. I had it the same day. So yeah. And now I get these stupid lights. These, if I could get a picture. Oh, there they are. Yeah. See that thing? See that thing up there? Well, okay. So I have these in my apartment all over, and drives me nuts because the one in the kitchen I was able to loosen and change the light bulb, but this one I tried everything. I watched all the YouTube, videos. Squeak, squeak, squeak. And they tell you how to, take it off. You hit it with the shoe, or you, use a putty knife. I don't have a putty knife. I couldn't get the damn thing to, unscrew. I'm just gonna put a maintenance ticket, because I'm up there trying to thing, and I like to be self-sufficient. I don't want to put in a ticket because then you got to be home when they come, and the guy comes stomping in with his boots, and no. So unless I can think of some other way, but then I'm like, I'm paying rent. The least I can do is come, help me out here. I don't have all this kind of time in the world. Least I can do. Okay, Zazoo. That's it. Hey. Okay. Remember. That's my dominant question. How can I do this better? Can I just put this through like here? I'll just hold the pen. How about that? Just hold the damn pen like this. Can you hear me? Because it's starting to tickle me. Okay. So let's see. Gotta hold it up like this now. We'll try this and see how it works. This is driving me nuts already. Okay. So, like I said, it's the Epiphany, right? So the whole thing is the visit of the three kings, right? So we're back to Isaiah. We've been in Isaiah a couple weeks ago. We were in Isaiah. So we're back there. And it says, the whole thing is how Isaiah, who's in the Old Testament, predicted the coming of the Magi, of the three kings, to visit Jesus, right? Rise up in splendor, Jerusalem. So, there's this vision of darkness and clouds covering the people. They're all in the darkness, right? And then, like at night, and then the star appears, right? The light, your light guides the nations and people who come to see you, which is, what happened. Your sons from afar and daughters in the arms of their nurses. So, yeah, so there's the image of the heart throbbing and overflowing, which is kind of, the symbolism of the Christ light coming and filling, overflowing, the cup, the heart. The wealth of nations and the riches of the sea, the riches of the sea shall be emptied before you. That's like salt, right? The frankincense and the gold and the wealth of nations. That's the gold, frankincense and myrrh. I think are, I think I don't know. They're minerals, so they could have come from the ocean in some respect. So, um, yeah, there's that. This is driving me nuts. Gotta get myself a real. Gotta get myself a real microphone. Yeah, just squeaking. Okay. We'll just do this. Let me just do that. Then it talks about caravans of camels. Now, camels are sort of the pack animals. They're slower. Right? But then they say dromedaries. And now I looked those up. They're the ones with the one hump. And they were kind of like the race cars. Rich people, royalty would travel on those because they were faster. They made good time, They didn't want to take forever. They used them in royal processions, So the Magi were actually astrologers, and they would have come from the three continents, Europe and Asia and Africa. So, so they were, the plural was Magi. It's from the Greek Magos. So these were priests, or wise men. They looked at the stars and you and your stars. Somebody once said to me, probably from Persia or Saudi Arabia, somewhere in there. They would have been proficient in magic or the occult sciences, and of course prophecy and all that. So, but the point of them featuring them, the symbolism, was the fact that they were not Jewish. So they were Gentiles recognizing the divinity of Christ, right? So that was why they had to show up. So it said, Lord, every nation on earth will adore you. So that's, having them come. In some versions, you hear them. They came from the three different continents, right? So, and they're often depicted as having foreign, clothes like turbans or different types of head wear and clothing and robes, but royal. We had the same nativity set the whole time we were married and the boys were growing up. And the thing was, I guess it was from Sears. I remember that the box was from Sears. My ex's parents, he had it as a kid, and then he brought it with him when we got married. We had it in our little apartment under our first tree, and then we brought it to the house. And I remember when we had the kids, it was we would do this thing where each boy would get a chance to move the kings a little bit closer. We had the kings, we had Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And Jesus wouldn't come out till Easter, till Christmas. Stop squeaking. We'd put the little the manger behind the stable, and then Jesus would come out on Christmas, and then as Christmas got nearer, the boys would move the wise men a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, until finally, the end of Christmas, they're all, gathered around. There was one kneeling, one standing, you know, one kind of in between, and there was a camel, and there was a shepherd, with sheep. And I think there one other thing, a donkey. No, there wasn't a donkey. There was a camel. I think that was it. But yeah, it was kind of funny. And then see if I can find the Mr. Bean Christmas, the one where he's in the department store at Christmas time, and baby Jesus was trying to sleep, and the Magi was going, he was coughing, and Mary would turn around and go, shh, or Joseph go, shh. Yeah, that was funny. That's when I think of the Magi. I think of that. So where was I? Oh yeah. Let's see. Paul to the fish. Would you stop squeaking? I'm so. He's right up there squeaking on my head. I had it. I need space. Right. Yeah. The Ephesians, letter of Paul to the Ephesians, where he's telling the Jewish people, his brothers and sisters, that he was given this mystery, not to other generations, but he and the apostles were given, was revealed to them by the Spirit, that, that those people, those other people, those non-Jewish people are also part of also part of heirs in Christ. In other words, it's not an exclusive thing to anybody, right? Everybody has a chance to partake in this light, partake in this coming, this great enlightenment that's coming. So then we have, Matthew, the whole, okay, we know Jesus was born, and it's the whole reading about the Magi coming, looking for, where is this king newborn, the king of the Jews? So they say, we saw the star, and it's rising, and we've come to do honor him. So they go to, King Herod. We know that Herod is kind of sweating this because he's threatened, right? He's afraid that he's going to lose his precious, kingship. He's going to get overthrown by this little baby. So instead of being happy, he gets all freaked out, right? And then, so all the people are getting freaked out by it, right? Because they can sense something going on, right? So he gathers all the wise men, his scribes, his priests, from the temple, and he asks them, what do we know about this prophecy? So and they tell him that he's going to come from Bethlehem, and this thing. So he says to the Magi, "Why don't you go ahead? You come and let me know where he is, so I can go honor him." But no, he wasn't going to do that. He was going to do something not very nice. So we know this. So so they go and they follow the star. They find Jesus, and Mary, and they give him their gifts. And then they have a dream not to go back to Herod. Something's going to happen. So they go a different way. They go back home a different way. And these days, Herod would have put a tracker on their car. He'd be like tracking their phones or whatever. He would have put a private eye on them. He would have had some kind of drone following them. But it's a good thing it happened when it did, because the imagery is much better. Anyway, so I found this song, Stars by Simply Red. Now remember Simply Red from like Holding Back the Years and stuff, and in the 80s. So why am I always confusing Simple Minds and Simply Red? I don't know. But they're both British bands. But Simply Red was the lead singer was Mick Hucknall, and he has red hair, bright red hair. You know. So this song "Stars" came out in November of '91, and it was the second single from their fourth album, Stars. So obviously, I thought it was appropriate for today, with the star, and everything. Uh, it did well in the UK. Got to number 8 in December of '91, but only got to 44 the Billboard in the US, which is why I remember it, but it didn't do as well as some of their hits from the mid '80s. So that was their last Billboard hit, that one. So yeah, so the video was basically it's very kind of a yearning vibe to it, very 80s. Even though it was made in 1991, it's Hucknall, uh, Nick Hucknall, with his red hair, like long, like braids. He's wandering in the desert. Perfect. And then there's, gold stars floating around, and there's this girl, sort of this woman, sort of looking down on him. Watch the video. It's pretty cool. So, but basically, it's just about these two people who really love each other, but for some reason they're not going to walk off into the sunset together. They're really affected by having met each other, and obviously, still starstruck by each other, but it's not going to happen. It's unrequited, right? So, it's kind of like the Magi, having seen Jesus and experienced this great feeling, but then they have to leave. They've got to go home because it's just not gonna. They can't stick around. They have to move on. It's not meant to be, right? They have to go their separate ways, but they're still really in awe of this experience, and that's what it is. Um, you can have this divine experience um, in so many different ways. It doesn't have to just be through another person, but it can be, some experience you have that brings you closer to God. And that's what some relationships are like that. They help us get closer to God. Some of them take us farther away, but but usually there's a lesson involved, right? There's always a transformation of some kind. Everybody teaches us something. Yeah, so interesting. So I guess Simply Red. Oh yeah, and then I found out they had a 40th anniversary tour, world tour last year in 2025, and they also released a movie from their concert in Chile, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to put the video, the original video, and then a clip from that Chile concert that he did, which was last year. And he's 65 now. So I don't know. I guess he was 64. I don't know. No, his birthday's in June. So yeah, he was 65 when he did, and looks great. Still sounds amazing. So check that out. Yeah, so he's very soulful kind of a voice. Yeah, sort of. It's almost like the way that Rick Astley sounds. He has that same kind of soulful sound. Um, This is my new pen that my kid gave me, my oldest son. Very nice, huh? But it squeaks. Squeaks on the paper. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. So I guess I'm going to cut it short now. Go have my paleo hot chocolate, my cashew butter snack, ice cake. Watch my video and make sure I don't do anything to it. That's the thing. You know, all these people like say they have to edit their videos and stuff. I just post it the way it is. The less I do to these videos, the better. I mean, you know, if you're looking for flash, I'm going for authenticity here, simplicity and authenticity, and you know, they say in the Tao, they say that a good word finds its own market. So whoever's meant to hear my videos, they'll find them. I'm not going to put all kinds of bells and whistles on them. Why? I've been doing this for 5 years. It's just me, simply Zazoo and friends. So, yeah. So, wishing you very happy, healthy, prosperous New Year. Yeah, here's to your dreams taking flight. Maybe not just yet. You know, first month of the year, you ease into it. Plus, it's the end of the year of the snake. We have the fire horse coming. So things will start to speed up. For now, I'm happy just to keep things kind of, low key. I have stuff to finish from last year. So there's that. Get my light bulbs changed. So until next week, I'll see you next week. Same place, different time. And I gotta recycle my old electric toothbrush, bring it to the recycling center. 2 minutes away from me here. Yeah, you can't throw your old electric toothbrush in the trash. You have to recycle it. It's got a battery in it, so we can. Okay. So see you next week.